Welcome to Work Club Global on Air for our next episode with Susan. I've got to get the surname just again. So
depends on which pronunciation you'd like. If you like the American pronunciation, it's McMahon.
Yeah.
Aussies say McMahon.
McMahon.
Yeah.
So did you grow up in the US?
Yeah.
Is that where you were
born and raised. Yeah. So I grew up in the Midwest in Indiana. Small town called South Bend. It's, well, small. It was funny. I told somebody the other day that it was a small town. And they were like, "Oh, okay, yeah, how big is it?" It's about 300,000 people. They were like, "That's not a small town."
That's the second biggest city in
Denmark.
Denmark.
I know. They were like, "That's Wollongong." I said, "Oh, yeah. Okay, so not that small of a town, but felt small at the time."
Okay. And were your parents American?
Yep, everybody American. So multi-generational. You know, it'd been a long time since anybody had come in my family had come from someplace else.
And then, when did you leave US?
I left in 97.
97?
Yeah.
And where did you go?
Oh, well, I moved here, pretty much. But I lived in London when I was studying in 90.
All right.
89, 90, something like that. I'm going to give myself away there. And I studied in London for a semester and then traveled a bit since then. But my husband and I just moved here on a bit of a whim, to be honest.
Is he Australian?
No, American.
Wow. But did you meet in
We were
London?
married in the States. No, we met at university in the States.
End up in Australia?
Yeah, so we went to university at the same place and met there, and then went to Chicago and were living and working in Chicago, like many people our age and from our university were doing.
Yeah.
We were there for about 5 years.
Okay.
And we started seeing people move to the suburbs of Chicago, get married, move to the suburbs, get married, move to the suburbs. And we kind of had a bit of a panic attack. And we kind of said, we don't really want that. We're not ready for that. That's not, that can't be life. That can't be what we do. So we wanted to get out of our comfort zone a little bit and do something completely different. So
amazing. We
decided to go overseas. We were both working for multinationals at the time. I was working for Ernst & Young and he was working for Alfa Laval. Yeah. We went to each of those companies and said, right, I want to go overseas. And they both kind of were like, oh. John's company said no. Oh. Ernst & Young said, we don't really have a program for that, which I had assumed they would because they were multinational, but they didn't. They said, where do you want to go? And I said, I hear Sydney's nice. And within 6 months I was here.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. They were really good. And we picked Sydney because I had already lived in London.
Okay, yeah.
And I said, I would have gone anywhere. If they had said, we need somebody in Germany or, Finland or Russia, we probably would have gone.
Okay. So growing up, was that an interest of sort of, that you wanted to get out and see the world, or what was it?
Yes, that was always there. I always wanted, even my definition of South Bend as a small town at 300,000, if I think about it now, you kind of go, oh, it's not that small of a town, really, but it felt small to me. So I always was trying to go and see places, and as soon as I had the means and the way to travel, as I started being a university student and had a little bit of money, it was like, oh well, I can go here on my own, and I can go here on my own. And my mom is funny. I come from a family of 6 kids, so there's 6 of us, and my mom says often, she kind of says, oh yeah, you were always the one that was going to be gone.
Did you have a good idea when you grew up what you wanted to be?
No, that was one of the questions that, that a lot of people ask me, and my daughter asked me that a lot. She said, what did you want to be when you grew up? I'm like, no idea.
Same.
I remember, no idea. When I was 6, when I saw the Nutcracker for the first time, I wanted to be a ballerina. Absolutely, that's what it was going to be. And then I took a few lessons and realized that maybe it was going to be a little bit too disciplined for me. So I gave that up fairly quickly. Yeah. But other than that, I have no recollection of wanting to be a particular thing. Yeah. So, and even my interests in school, and they were very wide.
Okay.
I would soak in kind of anything.
And now being in Australia, is this is your home? Do you think you're going to stay here, or do you see yourself moving at some point again in the future?
Oh, I don't know. I think I would like to move again at some point in the future. Where to, I have no idea. So that's kind of a big black cloud. I would definitely be open for it. Right now we've got kids in school and here's our life. But once they kind of...
Are they Aussies now?
They're true blue Aussies. True blue Aussies, yeah. They're born and bred here. Yeah. They are dual citizens, obviously, but they... definitely are Australian. Although my daughter, who is 9, has a very strong mental connection to the States.
Oh.
Yeah, she really, she chooses to speak sometimes an American accent.
Okay.
You know, she asks me, which way did we say it?
Okay.
Tomato or tomato, you know.
Do you go back? Do you have family there?
Yeah, all of our family is still there. So we
Yeah.
go back every year to 2 years. We try to make that. When we decided to stay here after my son was born, and we decided we actually really like it here and we want to raise kids here. But we wanted to make sure that they felt that connection to the family and to the States. And so that they kind of knew that that was where they had their family. Yeah. And so we made a commitment that we would try and go back as often as we could. So we try and do a year to 2 years. 2 years is kind of the outset.
It's the same with us, you know, we got 2 kids and Danish, both Danish, and all the families in Denmark.
Yeah,
so we just try and go once or every 2 years as well.
Yeah.
Just for the cultural experience too,
Yeah.
definitely for the language for us.
Yeah,
just
that
because
would be a big
we
thing.
want to continue to speak the language. But
Yeah.
just to know those roots, I think it's important.
Yeah, I think it's important, you know, and moving so far away, so
it's very far.
It's a big distance, and so we have done the same. You know, just a conscious choice to say no. They need to know. They need to know their family, not just know they exist.
Yeah.
But I wanted them to know their cousins and to know who they were and to understand them as people and feel that link.
And your background really as well, you know, the way you grew up and
exactly,
you know, the whole history.
Exactly, and be able to feel that and understand that and get that a little bit. Yeah.
So now TEDx.
Oh, TEDx.
How do you end up at TEDx? What's the
pure luck in my mind? You know, so my background is Ernst & Young, right? They transferred me here, and I worked for them for 3 years, and then I went out on my own and was contracting in the corporate world, doing a lot of project management and IT and business management kind of things.
Okay.
And I love consulting because I switch very often. You know, I get to do something new all the time. New experiences, new industries, new people, and stuff like that. But I get itchy around 2.5 to 3 years working for one company. I kind of go, yeah, okay, I'm ready. I've been there, done this. This thing, either in this company I need a new role or something. So that's kind of I've learned that's my threshold. So at about 2.5 to 3 years, I was at one of the banks. I was at Combank. And I was getting ready for the next new thing. And so I signed up to go to Wired for Wonder. I don't know if you know it's the conference.
Yeah.
So no, I'm just going to do that. See, at least give my brain a break, right? And there I met Remo, because he was speaking, and I met him and Edwina Throsby.
Yeah.
And so chatted with them and chatted with Remo over drinks afterwards, and he kind of was like, oh, you know, we're looking for a head of operations for TEDxSydney, and I almost fell off my chair. I was like, that would be awesome, you know, that would be great. He said, oh, it's a volunteer role. I was like, of course it is. Okay. How do people do that? You know, so basically I was so excited about the opportunity. I think a lot of people have tried to do that role with their other jobs, and I have done that even in the last 3 years. But for that first one, because I didn't know anything about events, I was not in that world, production world, none of that. That was brand new.
It's probably an advantage.
Oh, it probably was, absolutely. I was coming in completely cold.
Yeah.
Had no preconceptions about what anything was, and asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, great.
Which is what I love, right? But I basically stopped my contract and volunteered with TEDxSydney as the head of operations for about 6 months, just because I knew I couldn't do it justice if I was trying to do another job. Yeah. So it kind of fell in my lap. It was an opportunity that I then made happen.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
Because I really wanted to, and I was just like, well, I think I can afford to do this for 6 months. I'll just, you know, try and
you grabbed it.
And just grabbed it. Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, and loved it. Absolutely loved it. You know, it was very challenging because it's TEDxSydney and it's big, and I had never done it before.
Yeah, and big. So talking about big, so 5,000 people this year, right?
Yeah, 5,000 this year. Last year was about 4,200. Okay. The first year that I did it, which was this year that I'm talking about, was the last year at the Upper House.
Right.
And we had about 2,300, 2,400.
Yeah. So it's just getting bigger and bigger.
And it's getting bigger. And we made that conscious choice after that last year at the Upper House because we wanted to try and let more people come.
What was the experience with TEDx Endurance this year? Like, did you have anything? What was was it just stress because you're working towards that deadline, or was it?
It is. There is a lot of stress, right? It just is. You know, as we're working to the deadline doesn't move.
No,
it's
it is
what it is.
Yeah.
And this year was easier than the year before for me personally, just because we were at the same place.
Yeah.
So we'd done the ICC already once before, so it was kind of a very similar thing.
Yeah,
so I kind of knew what was happening.
Yeah.
Whereas the year before it was much harder because a lot of things were new, and it was a very new, different style of event. It definitely is stressful, but it's a lot of fun as well. I think this year people feed off of each other, and our team feeds off of each other, and the crescendo as you're getting closer to the actual event gets quite manic. Yeah. But it felt better this year. It was a lot more fun this year than the year before, because I think all of us knew a little bit more about what was happening and how it was working, and there's always stresses and there's always challenges, always. But
have you got a favorite TEDx talk? Is there one that just stands out?
Look, no, I remember one of the very first ones I heard. Yeah. Years, when they were not even videos, right? Yes. They were just audio podcasts, and it was a simple one about some guys building a new way to kill mosquitoes in Africa for malaria. Yeah. And it was just this simple. They used like laser copiers, and they used to get the lasers, and then they figured out how to hear whether it was a female versus a male mosquito, and then they zapped the females out with the laser from a laser printer. It was amazing to me. I was just like, that's crazy, because the tech was all basic tech. Yeah. They took apart a laser printer because they knew it had to be cheap. I don't even remember what the name of the guy that spoke was, but I remember thinking, what a great way to come at a problem. Yeah. Right? And to come up with a solution that was simple and that met the criteria of needing to be rolled out multi places and all over the place. And so that one was one of the ones that I remember very vividly, because it was one of the ones that really piqued my curiosity about TED and TED Talks and what it meant. Other than that, I kind of love them all. I really enjoy being surprised by a TED Talk. And I find myself interested in the technology ones as well as the humanity ones, and as well as the ones that are social justice ones. And there was the ones that I kind of have in the forefront of my head right at the moment are the ones from TED this year that I was able to watch with TED, And there was an architect, Renzo Piano, he's in his 80s, I think. He's amazing. And he just got up and showed these beautiful pictures of some of the architecture that he's done around the world, and how that fits in. And that was really stunning, and it was just really a peaceful talk, but it was really
visual. But
it was very visual and just really touched the artist, I think, in most of the people. Just even though we're not artists, it's just you just appreciate that beauty of what you're looking at, which I love. Yeah. And so there wasn't necessarily, and his idea was, bringing beauty into the world, into the living space and the urban space and where we are. So that one was really good. And there was another one that blew me away, which is a tech one. Okay. It's a robobiotic one, where the guys from MIT were building. Hugh Herr was the guy, and I think he's been on TED a few times, but building bionic limbs that people can feel through. So essentially mimicking the nerves so that they can climb mountains, and where they can feel where they're putting that limb, where they're putting that foot or that hand, which was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's really
pretty amazing.
Science.
It was serious science, and it was amazing science. I was watching going, oh my God, that's so cool.
Amazing. So just talking about science, how do you balance your science and your humanities side?
I take it all in. I'll take it from anywhere. So when I was at university and high school, really, I was in a small high school. I loved philosophy and theology, but also math and science. And so I was always trying to balance those two and
Yeah.
figure out how to balance those two.
Yeah.
University, I started thinking, okay, math and science, I'll be an engineer. Did not last as an engineer. No, one semester, and I decided, no, that's not really.
That wasn't the path.
No, that wasn't the path. That was very much not the path. So went back into the humanities,
Right.
as well as computer applications. So I figured I'll balance the two that way. And through my life, I guess I've continued to do that, is to try and actively find that balance of trying to use that analytical mind, because I do have a very analytical mind.
Yeah.
And I like the science and I like the computers and using it and stuff like that, but I can't live wholly in that space. And so I'm always drawn to the humanities and to philosophy and to debate and conversations and learning from others and stuff like that, which is, I think, why I get so passionate about TED, because it covers everything.
Yeah, it's everything there.
You know, everything's there.
Fascinating, the two sides too. You know, it's I'd hire you. No, just because I think it's so much more balanced, right? It's not one or the other thing.
It's not one or the other, and it's a bit of. It all comes into play with everything that we do, you know, and I think that that's part of being human, right? Is that balance, but it's certainly part of me, right? Is always trying to find that balance, and if I end up too far down one or the other, I get a little crazy.
Yeah. So you said earlier your 9-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
How many kids have you got?
I've got two. So I've got a 9-year-old daughter and a 15-year-old son.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're.
And what are you? Is there anything that you're specific about you wanting to pass down to them? In terms of what are the?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a big question.
It's a general question.
It's a general question, but one of the big things that I am very conscious of, and that is kindness for them, and that's a big thing in our family, and I even have it on the wall. Choose kindness as in the family home, and so that's a big one for me. Is just making sure that they have that empathy, and trying to treat people with kindness as wherever they go. So that's a big one, as well as curiosity. I think that,
like that one,
and I'm not quite sure I'm as good at I don't know how to instill that one in my kids as much as just demonstrating it myself, but hopefully that one will come through as well.
It's hard. I mean, the curiosity, I ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Just basic questions, stupid questions.
Yeah, and not be afraid to ask the questions, and
just get them to think.
Yeah, exactly, and get them
sort of reflect.
Right. And get them to reflect and think and challenge.
Yeah.
And not take anything as a given.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's really important. So that's one of the things that I try to encourage, and would love to see them come out the other end of childhood with that intact. But it's difficult.
It's very difficult.
It's difficult.
In particular with running, what you're doing as well, you're full time. It's juggling. It's juggling a lot, isn't it?
Juggling everything. Yeah, it's really tricky.
And now with TEDx, so when you look forward, we talked about earlier, you're just about planning the next.
Yeah.
Or you're now looking at what do you want to do next year in TEDx. I'm sure you're going to look at the narrative, the themes.
Look at the themes and stuff like that, and we really do very consciously struggle a little bit internally as a business with, how do we make sure with an event the size of TEDxSydney, which is 5,000 people, how do we make sure, and Remo talks about this, right? How do we make it intimate as well as massive, right? It's an iconic event. It's amazing. So many people are into it, which is great, right? But we want to make sure that it's not just any other conference. That it's not just you're going to another corporate conference that's cookie cutter and you kind of just are sheep going through. So we actively think about how to do that and try and improve how we help the attendees connect with each other as well as with the ideas, and see if they take them anywhere, together. So that's some of the things that on our strategy day we're really kind of trying to unpack and figure out how we can do that. So we're forming ideas for next year. With my role,
in general, even with your role or just in general, is that
the impact from the team or the impact of TEDxSydney on
in terms of you, what impact you would like to have on your TEDx team, families, you sort of share about your values there that you want to give on. But
That's a
maybe
good
say the
question.
TEDx.
Yeah, so if I'd like my impact to be to help it run smoothly and help the people who feel passionate about TEDxSydney to be able to continue to contribute without, number one, taking advantage of their generosity, making sure that they're getting something out of it. So I think that's a big part of what I try to do, is make sure that we try to understand what their individual motivations are, and try and respect them as individuals and respect what they're giving us, as well as giving them, because some people are doing it for different, everybody's doing it for different reasons. To try and figure out a way to make that really part of our culture, right? Is not just burning them out or just using them because they're willing to give us time. I really wanted to nurture that as a team. Yeah, I think that's a big thing.
Just the size of the franchise, I've heard as well, is the largest outside US, is it? Or
TEDxSydney is one of the largest globally.
Yeah.
There are a few others, mostly I think in South America, that are bigger than ours from a TEDx perspective, and then there's a few others around the world that are around our size, but not many. Out of the 3,000 or some that happen globally, there's probably less than 20 that are kind of in our the size, maybe even 10. So we're pretty big. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Amazing. And an amazing role as well, and exposure you have to just fascinating people.
Yeah, that's the thing I love.
Walks of life, right?
Yeah.
And that's just...
and that's what I love about it, is that it attracts people from everywhere. Yeah. For different reasons, and the speakers as well as the teams, and I get a chance to meet the other people, the other organizers.
Can you share a bit more about the youth program as well that you have with TEDx?
Yeah, so TED provides multiple different licenses for different types of events, and youth is one of them. So we've run a TEDx Youth at Sydney now for a number of years. We used to have it on the same day as when it was at the Opera House, right? We had the two theatres happening at the same time. And when we moved to the ICC, we decided to give it a life of its own. And a day of its own and a time of its own. So last year was the first time that we did a youth event that was standalone, and it was at Town Hall.
And what does that mean? Is there a max age, or what's the...
The way we've defined it is 15 to 23.
Okay.
So it's that high school, upper high school, and university, essentially, age. So the youth and the people that are coming up as they're looking at the world and figuring out what's important to them. Yeah. So and we've been debating, discussing what we want that to be, but it's really a chance for that age group to get together, but also see what that age group is thinking about and what people are doing in that age group, because there's some amazing people, young people from that demographic that are doing amazing things and are thinking about things in ways that we're not thinking about it. And it's important for them to have their voice heard as well. So we are trying to figure out ways to make that happen. And TEDx Youth is one of them, so we can give them a stage and give them a place to go. We try to make it affordable for that age group. So that's one of the things that we constantly are looking at, trying to find, the sponsors that will help us bring those stories to life.
It's a great idea. We have scholarships at the Work Club that we provide to universities. So if anybody's listening and are interested in scholarships, let us know.
That's great.
Just because they look at things from a different angle.
They
they're at a different stage in life.
That's it.
And I think it's just...
And I think it's important that they get a chance to
take
those ideas forward in one way or another.
Disrupt us a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Ruffle us a bit. Yeah.
And then we're also thinking about trying to take that potentially, and we don't have any plans explicitly yet to do this, but we would like to do a youth that's maybe even younger than that, but we haven't quite got that off the ground yet. Yeah, to give primary school kids and early high school, a platform as well. But we'll see if we can do that.
We have looked at a couple of times Florence Guild for kids.
Okay.
For members' children.
Yeah.
We've put on a few events, but it's something that we'd love to do more.
Okay.
And for kids to have real conversations, not just the iPads. But actually reflect on conversations,
what a great idea.
on issues and how to respond to them, and debate, and
oh, I love that. Yeah,
I think that's you can't do it too early.
No, I don't think you can do it too early at all.
It's a whole, getting away from the tech and that just numbing.
Yeah, and getting them to think and be, again, that curiosity, and getting them to understand and look at the world and ask the questions and kind of go, hang on, why is it like that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense, or this is what I think. I think it's great. That would be awesome. So we're trying to figure out how to do that ourselves as well, is to take it down even further than the 15 that we currently have.
Yeah. Thank you, Susan. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.